is Jenny Clark with Solvability. We've got today's Freedom Friday with my buddy Josh Frank of RSM Federal, and he's got a book that he wrote around here. I don't think this is his first book either. It's about Insider's Guide to Winning Government Contracts. That's how I learned about Josh. That's how I met him at a conference. We got started talking, and I said, your message is different. Would you be willing to talk to me some more? And we've been working together off and on for a couple of years now and have a lot of big ideas that we're headed down the road with. So Josh, I'm just going to let you get started talking to people about what you call celebrating small successes. Take it away, Josh.
My name is Josh Frank. I am managing partner for RSM Federal. I am a professional speaker and author, and I'm a business coach. I've been in the market for about 30 years, government market, public sector. I'm a former intelligence officer. For those of you that are military or ex-military, that was with the Army. I hold degrees, English, information systems, MBA, but I'm a real huge small business advocate. I'm chairman of the board for the Veterans Business Resource Center for the Midwest, Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, and Nebraska. I'm a guest speaker with the SBA, and I judge entrepreneurial competitions. I specialize in helping companies bridge government strategy with business strategy, which is really important because everybody focuses on, well, gee, this is how you win a contract, but you've really got to bridge and use business strategy as well as the government. I specialize in advanced tactics strategies to accelerate market entry. Anyway, so that's a little bit about me. And Jenny asked me to talk about celebrating your small successes. And it's actually one of the smaller chapters in one of my books, but it is one of the most important things that I've learned as a business professional. It has nothing to do with government, has nothing to do with the commercial market, private sector, public sector. As a business professional, it is one of the most important things I've ever learned. And I was on site with a client out in California, and they were a client for about 5 years. And the president of the company, his name's Morgan Clayton. He runs Teltech Security. We were sitting down for breakfast one day, and he goes, Josh, do you celebrate your successes? And I said, yeah, sure. Hey, whenever I win a government contract, whenever I sign an agreement with another company, yeah, I celebrate. And he said, what about the smaller ones? And I go, what are you talking about? And he goes, Josh, this is crazy important. And it's regardless of market, right? Commercial, federal. And he goes, whether you sell product or service, sales cycles are long, right? And just go off on a tangent. Commercial, what do they normally say, right? They say, it's going to take 7 to 10 touches, right, to get a sale on the commercial side. On the federal side, it can take 12 to 20 touches.
Wait a minute. Time out. You can't use that word touch with the federal government, can you?
Oh, yes, you can. A touch is a phone call, an email, going to a conference, going to an industry day. It's any communication, any touch. And that's a good point. Now, I don't know if your question was facetious.
Oh, never facetiousness from me.
Never. And so because the sales cycle, again, it's commercial or federal, because a sales cycle can be so long, one, you got to learn the market, right? You have to learn to communicate your value. You have to learn how to position and differentiate from your competition. You have to learn how to manage pipeline, how to position with government buyers. Bottom line, it can take 6 to 12 months, right, to truly position in the market and make a big win. As a result of that could be 6 months of positioning for the first major contract. If you're not celebrating something, you're going to be stressed out, totally stressed out, right? And right before, I see Russ Barnes. Russ is on the Freedom Friday with us today, and he mentioned something. Russ, I would throw back Dale Carnegie, right? You know, the guy that wrote, How to Stop Worrying, or,
Win friends and influence people.
And it influenced people, right? He actually wrote another book that is really good that's called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And he goes, he interviewed, almost 1,000 people over multiple years. And the reality was 99% of everything that all of us ever worry about during our entire lifetimes never comes to pass. So most of what we worry about in our lives, we shouldn't be worrying about. Well, that is a flip side to your celebrating your small successes. We all want to make money, but your life, my life, will be completely miserable if the only time we ever celebrate is when we win a contract, right?
Oh my gosh, Josh. So let me ask you this. Do you celebrate more on a big success or a little one? And how do you celebrate every day? I don't get it.
Okay, good question. So the big successes, for us signing, getting a retainer with another company, what have you, the real big successes, the big contracts, that is taking off the afternoon. That is going to the park, walking around, not thinking about business, etc. Smaller successes would be, I step outside and I smoke a cigar. And for all of you anti-smokers, fine, but I like my cigars, okay? And for those of you that are anti-smokers, I am very proud to go, my favorite cigars are Cuban Bolivars and Partagas and Fuente. So y'all can chew on that. So anyway, I love a good cigar, okay? Now, knowing we all want to make money, and, for us, and I think some of this is going to dovetail into Emily. Man, every time I see you, I'm like dovetailing into your stuff. I really like what you're doing. Defining success in life is more than making money, right? It's more than making money. And you need to constantly step back. Remind yourself to step back, take a breath, congratulate yourself for working hard, right? Yes, when we sign a new client, my company, I go outside, I smoke a cigar. I'll take my wife to a nice restaurant, but I celebrate the small successes. And it keeps us healthy. It absolutely protects our sanity, right, as business professionals. For me, it's what keeps me pumped. It's what makes it exciting to get up in the morning and go to my job. And I'll say one more thing on that. It keeps us from acting and sounding desperate.
As soon as you said acting and sounding desperate, I thought, has he been looking at my profile on those dating sites?
Oh, God. Are you on
Because
those?
it really does make a difference if you sound like, hey, this is working for me all the time versus this is never working. And it's almost like that people can read your mind and how you present yourself and how you're thinking. And I don't know about you, but sometimes when I get into those down things, if I start calling people and asking them to agree with me about how hard it is to be in government contracting and how I hired a BD guy and it didn't work out and all that other, it's just a pity party.
So all right.
I bring up another quick point there, Josh, and that is you've been talking about celebrating as a person. What about as a team? What types of
that's a great question. Before I answer that question, Russ, let me go down the rabbit hole on acting and sounding desperate, because this is a really big issue for small business. It's also a big issue for larger companies that have folks that work for them that are not hitting their quota, or they're not accomplishing what they're supposed to be accomplishing. In general, and especially when I'm working with folks, and I tell them, I go, look, if you're having problems with cash flow, let's say, right, as a company, or you're a business developer, a capture manager, a salesperson, whatever title you want to use for sales, and you're not hitting your numbers, it is really easy for you to be freaking out individually, right? It's, oh my God, am I going to lose my job? As a company, if you're a business owner, I don't have the cash flow that I need to have. It is human nature for us for that to come out in our gesticulations, how our body language, it comes out in our tone of voice. And so if you act and sound desperate, which a lot of small business owners unfortunately do, because it's a level of maturity that they'll eventually, obtain, then everybody that they're talking to recognizes they're desperate. And it's real hard to buy from somebody that sounds desperate.
Well, hey, Josh, on that desperate thing, is this what you mean by they have to walk in and instead of saying I'm a small business, I'm a this, I'm a that, lead with what they're great at, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, we'll go down a second rabbit hole. Russ, remind me to come back to you. Most companies, small businesses, they go, hi, my name is Josh, and I'm with XYZ. We're an 8A service disabled, woman-owned small business that does XYZ, right? So do you have any opportunities that we can bid on? Is there anything that we can do to make money with you? That's a common approach.
That sounds like playing Go Fish. Do you have any eights?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, most small businesses are fishing. Now, one, and this is beyond the acting sounding desperate, and we've really gone down the rabbit hole, but that's okay. One, I tell all companies, stop introducing yourself as a small business, as veteran owned, as service disabled, woman, hub zone. That's not the value of your company. Stop telling people that, right? Now, I know there are a lot of organizations that do tell you to do those, say those things. And I'm telling you, it violates basic business principles. And so to come back, Jenny, to what you asked, when companies introduce, a lot of them that understand, they go, hey, listen, I'm Josh with XYZ Industries. We're in the business of doing, ABC. And I have certain questions that are already prepared, but a lot of companies will still go, hey, God, I need some cash flow. This is what we do. Who should I be talking to? Because, we're really good at what we do. And we have great past performance. And we have great teaming partners. And we're in your backyard. Seriously, we can really do a good job. That sounds desperate. And so, if you're not celebrating small successes, I want you to imagine you're a business owner or a sales, business developer or whatever. And if you're celebrating your small successes, you feel better, okay? And you recognize those successes. So when you're calling people, it's, hey, Mary over at NIH or Department of Commerce. Hey, this is Josh with, ABC. We provide the following value. I'm not calling about any specific opportunity. By the way, those are magic words. Because if you call about a specific opportunity, they're going to go, la, 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 the Federal Acquisition Reg won't let me talk to you, right? So you always use the phrase, hey, I'm not calling about any opportunities currently in acquisition, but I did see over the last 6 months, there have been a lot of requirements for XYZ. And I had a couple of questions generally, and you say it confidently. And it's easy to do it confidently when you're also celebrating successes and you feel good about yourself. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense, Josh. But what you're also saying is you've got to be leading with what makes you different. And if you're calling up and always asking for stuff, instead of saying, hey, government, what is something else that we could do? I think it's a big difference that way, right?
Yes. And I tell companies all the time, when you introduce yourself to me, like let's say we're at a conference, right? You come up to me after some session I give, or you go up to a potential teaming partner, or you're talking to a government prospect, right? Doesn't matter who you're talking to. I don't want you to tell me what you sell. I don't care what you sell. There are 1,000 companies that sell what you sell. I want you to describe to me and explain to me the value that your products or services provide to other companies, other organizations. I'll figure out what you do by how you describe the value you provide. If I say, listen, we're in the business of increasing enterprise access, and you know, on average, I'm making this up, we decrease the speed of access to the data within the enterprise by 23%, and we increase the speed of access. We decrease the amount of time it takes to do X, Y. It's obvious I'm a technology company, right? Communicating your value, quantifiable, qualifiable metrics, that's how you need to be describing what you do as a company. So yes, I agree with you. I just took the long way around it.
Because then you can connect it to the problem. And so if somebody's saying, oh, I know somebody who has a problem and that solution will help them, now they're thinking beyond what you were thinking in terms of opportunities.
For, you know, whether you're watching this live today or you watch it on demand, right, on YouTube or what have you, everything we're talking about is tying together. So Russ, what you just said, yeah, you know, you identify a challenge or an issue. It may not be proposal. It may be pre-acquisition. Nothing's been released for bid yet, but you're building relationships with some prospect. You identify a challenge. Now you can communicate, well, you know, we worked with this organization in this city, in this state, and when we help the OCIO or we help the vice president or whoever decrease this by X percent, increase this by, decrease that by, and in other words, you're given a very specific answer. And this is a great technique that I tell companies to use. Afterwards, go, and you know what? If you're open to it, our program manager that ran that project, I will bring him out of one of his current contracts to talk with you for an hour and explain to you what challenges he went through, managing it for another organization that may help you figure out what requirements you need to put into your bid. Maybe some things you didn't think about. And what's really cool about that is that if he says yes, and he takes some of those, 1, 2 of those requirements and puts them into their eventual RFP, you've just ghosted strengths and exact past performance that'll make you more competitive in your proposal.
Well, and you got a second date. That's the important part of my game.
Was I getting too, was I going too in the weeds there?
No, not at all. Not at all.
All right.
You know, I think it's like, which book is this in, by the way? Because you got a couple of them here.
So, all right. So everything I'm talking about here and positioning and ghosting and influencing acquisition, in other words, everything to accelerate the government sales cycle for the company, that's mostly the insider's guide. Okay. I'd argue that both books are good for the novice. Insider's Guide probably more so. Game Changers is probably for all companies for sure.
And what I love about Game Changers, I'm in it. So is Russ. So is Eric Wright. So is Ashley Haas. So is Michael Lejeune. And when we were all together at GovCon Summit, we signed each other's books and took pictures together.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I think half the people that are on us live today are all in the book. And you know, you haven't said it, but I'll throw it out there. For everyone watching live today and then watching on demand, both of the books, hold them back up again real quick, Jenny.
Both of the books. Got it.
Both of the books are Amazon #1 bestsellers. Okay. And so if you want them, whether print or digital, they're all out there on Amazon. So if you haven't read them, go ahead and take a look. So anyway, Jenny, you know, if you want to make more money, yes, we all want to make money, but our lives will be much more fulfilling if we do celebrate the smaller successes.
Well, you're absolutely right about that. And part of the reason we started doing Freedom Friday is because there's a group of us that talks on a regular basis. And we said, you know, the entire country's shut down with COVID. How do we keep talking about it? How do we keep everybody up? Because it's been a pretty big challenge to do that. So we started Freedom Friday to kind of bring together the things that we've been working on and give people the access that they need to those kind of resources, because I always feel like I don't know the answer to that, but I know somebody who does. Let's figure that out. And we're talking about this all being part of Freedom Friday is about mentorship, inclusion, teamwork, camaraderie, and heart. I call that Mitch. And we bring this to everybody so that we give you an opportunity to interact and talk to people that are top experts, and really also learn from what your problems are, what you're working on, and help you solve those things, get there faster, and how people can get in touch with you. Josh?
So before I close up though, a couple things. First, there's one of the questions I see we just got is, hey, give us some real examples of how you actually celebrate small successes for, right? You had a great sales call with somebody. It can be as simple as that. You had a really good sales call. You got some good information. It could be you got on a really competitive team, right? You want to get on this big IDIQ, this indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract, and you really want to get on a good team. You get a teaming agreement. That's a small success. Every time you submit a proposal, why do we only celebrate when we win a contract? When we submit proposals, gosh, the level of effort's crazy, right? To get for some of those. Celebrate when it goes in. If you hit your quarterly number for opportunities in the pipeline, you did your company's annual taxes for the year. Those little things we need to take advantage of.
Yeah. So you're talking about all the steps along the way. So you kind of give yourself credit, a pat on the back, and say, hey, keep going, because I've had 10 dates. So the next one numerically should work for me.
That's right. That's right. And by the way, a couple quick things close up on my side. One, Jenny, you're a freaking rock star. For those that don't know Jenny well, she's like the master connector and relationship guru in this space. So if you're not connected with Jenny on LinkedIn, you need to connect with her there. If you're not connected with me, that's a great way to get to know me. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Definitely join the GovCon group, okay, that Jenny runs. There's a ton of people on there. If you want to contact me, LinkedIn is number one, okay? LinkedIn is number one. And also, whether you're new or you're really experienced in government sales, the books are like the starting point. That's what we tell everybody. The books are the starting point. You can't go wrong with the Insider's Guide or Game Changers, which is like 29 different authors. And then there's also this podcast called Game Changers for Government Contractors. Mike, I know Mike's on here. I think we're over 80,000 now in terms of folks that have listened. It's pretty cool. But we interview experts around the industry. You can find it on iTunes, SoundCloud, whatever podcast app you use. So books, you've got the podcast. And then if you're interested in anything else that we do, because we do a lot of stuff, just go to rsmfederal.com and you'll find us there. So, and thank you everyone that was on today. I had a lot of fun. So there you have it.
All right. Well, thanks so much for being on with us today, Josh, and for everybody else that was joining us. We do this every Friday. I've got people lined up, and it's really just to keep this community going, connect more people to each other, because my belief is we can have more financial freedom through federal contracting. So thanks so much. Everybody have a great weekend.